Okay, students, in my pre-calculus class, summer 2025, the video is going to show you how to use HonorLock to have your online tests proctored for this semester. Okay, first thing is, it is 6/19, so it's Juneteenth. Nice thing to read up on in a little bit. So this is the day that commemorates the ending of slavery in the United States. So it's now a federal holiday. So worth mentioning. Okay, let's see. To begin with, what you want to do is you want to be on D2L for our class, and you want to click on the content button to start with, and locate the HonorLock button, which is right here. And this is the only way you can take your test. I want to mention, if you go to My Open Math, you will see a link for the demo test that I'm going through right now, but it will not allow you to do it without a password. And I do not give students the password. I give HonorLock the password. So you must take the test through HonorLock. You have to start this way. So if you ask me for the password, I'll say, sorry, can't give it to you. Okay? You will not be given a password. All right, so click on the HonorLock link. And what it's going to do is it's going to check which browser you're on. Now, I know that Microsoft Edge works well. I know that Google Chrome works well. I do not know about Safari or Firefox. What it's going to do is it's going to ask you to add an extension. So I'm on Microsoft Edge right now. I'm going to agree to have HonorLock add an extension. It's going to upload that. I'm going to press the Get button right there, add the extension, and you can see it's uploading that right now. It should do all this stuff automatically for you, okay? All right, so the extension's been added, and then you'll see this screen. I'm going to go ahead and read this and explain this to you. So during your assessment, we may collect information about any websites you visit. You may be required to enable certain features on your device, such as the camera and microphone, to take audio or visual photos and recordings, and we may also record the screen of your device. When we process your photo and recordings, we may also collect information about your face and or voice to determine whether there are other people in the room and what words you are speaking. So just to explain what this does is HonorLock is going to make a video of the entire testing session. And it's going to give me a report on it. It's going to show me that you took a photo. You're going to be required to use your camera to take a photo of yourself. You're going to be required to show your ID, which can be a student ID or a driver's license or a passport. I'll show you how that works in a minute. And yeah, it'll give a recording, and I will be able to review any student's session as I need to. It's going to flag certain behaviors. It's going to record your voice if you're talking to someone. It's going to record your facial expressions if you're looking away from the camera. It's going to record if you leave the room and stuff like that. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and agree to these terms and continue to the system check. Okay, we're going to run a system check. I've never had any problem with this, just checking your browser, operating system, and network connections, make sure everything's okay. You will see basically you're going to be having, you need to use your own scratch paper because a lot of the problems you're going to have to show your work and turn it in. To get partial credit on the test. I will explain that as soon as I open up the test. You are also going to be able to access a handheld calculator. All right. If you don't have a handheld calculator, you can actually access this website right here if you want to. So I could actually go ahead and click on that and start this TI-84. Now what I like to do on this is I like to pull my tab to the side and then just sort of minimize this. This thing kind of looks funny, but you could just sort of do that. I don't know why it's looking like that, but you could kind of just put that to the side and keep that tab open. I think HonorLock will allow you to do that. Okay, so I've got that tab open now, and I'm going to go back to HonorLock where I was. Okay, so right now I've got D2L open, HonorLock, and I've got the TI-84. Now you don't have to use that online calculator if you don't want to, but that particular website is going to be allowed. So you could go back to that and use that as you need to. Okay, again, if you're going to do that, just sort of have that minimized. Okay, I'm going to pull that over like that now. Now I'm going to go back to HonorLock. Okay, so what I like to kind of do is just kind of have, if I'm going to use this calculator, I like to just set it up kind of like this. Minimize the calculator as I do that. Okay, but that's optional. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the exam. Okay, I've already read this to you, so it's going to go back and do this. So I'm going to go to the system check and do that and kind of get back to where I was. Okay, so a couple of other rules on the test. You're not allowed to use books. You're not allowed to use your own notes. You're not allowed to have a restroom break, so make sure that you use the restroom before you take your test. Okay, headphones are not allowed. Hats are not allowed. The reason hats are not allowed is students often cover their face with their hat so that a teacher can't see their eyes and what they're looking at. It's very common in a classroom. Hat down, looking at the paper next to them. I see it all the time, so no hats. Public area, you want to be in a closed room. So even if you were in a public library, you would need to be in a room that is closed. There cannot be people walking around in the room, just you and the room. No pets. If you have a cat, you have a dog, they got to stay out of here, okay? I don't want them to be distracted or you to be distracted, okay? Background noise is not allowed, and your mobile phone is not allowed. Now, the thing on the mobile phone is, one way that you can get partial credit is at the very end of the test, you can actually go ahead and use Cam Scanner to take pictures of your work. All right, and you can do that. Now, what HonorLock's going to do, it's going to flag that. It's not going to shut off the test or anything, but it's going to flag that behavior. And then as soon as you're done with that test, then you can go ahead and upload the scan that you made into D2L. So I'll explain that. So you can't have your phone unless you're scanning at the very, very end of the test. Okay? All right, so we got that. Now what we're ready to do is authenticate. So begin the authentication. It's going to close all of the tabs. It may close this calculator tab too. I don't know. I'm getting ready to find out. Okay, so it looks like since it's allowing that, that's okay to do that then. Okay, so it's going to continue. And now I think it's going to ask for a photo. So take a nice photo of you. I'm having a bad hair day today, but who cares? All right, so there's my photo. And now it's going to ask you to verify your ID. You can either upload a picture of your ID or you can use your webcam. I like to just use my webcam. I'm holding up my faculty ID, so it's got my name and my picture. That picture is old too. Man, look how long my hair was. I was probably playing in a rock band or something back in those days. So anyway, do that. Whoops, you got to take a photo of it. Okay, so just kind of get it in that in there the best you can. Take the photo, and then it's verifying that. Now see, what I'm getting is I'm getting both of these pictures. I'm getting the picture of your face and your photo identity, so I can match those up. You could use a driver's license. You could also use a passport, but it's got to have your name and your picture on it. Next thing we're going to do is share the screen. So come up here and click on that, share the entire screen. Okay, now we've done all of that, so we're ready now to start the test. So what you do is you go to open the site, and what it's going to do there is it's going to take you to that assessment. It could also take you to the part of My Open Math where you log in. Okay, so it might do that, but it's going to take you to the assessment. and click on this. This is your proctor. I have found my assessment. So I'm going to unlock the assessment, and it's going to be putting the password in for you. So see, it is opening the test for you. Okay. Now I'm going to just kind of take that. I don't know if it'll allow me to do this, I guess. I guess it wants the full window, but if I want to use that calculator, it looks like it's letting me go to that website. So if you wanted to use this online calculator, it looks like you're not going to be able to minimize this window for some reason. That's something that it's blocking off. Okay, so I'm ready to go ahead and start the test. Now, I've done the test several times. On this demo exam, you can try this several times if you want to. So I'm going to click retake. When you're taking the actual exam, it'll just say, I think there's a button that says resume on there. So I'm going to do this. It's going to go ahead and start the test. I've got this demo exam set up for 59 minutes. I am requiring you all to do this demo, but I'm not going to take the grade on the test, and you don't even have to do the whole test. That's optional. So I set this up for 8 problems that I thought might be worth a little practice. Some of the problems are going to be yes/no problems, so you don't have to turn any work in on those. This question says, is this a function? Yes or no? So every x corresponds to one y. There's not an x that corresponds to two y, so that answer is yes. And you do not have to do that. Now remember, this submit and end, don't do that until the test is over, okay? An example of something you'd have to show work on would be something like a difference quotient, something like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and just do this question right here. And I'll show you 2 ways you could do this. Now, what you could do is you could go ahead and just be doing this on paper. And at the very end of the test, while you're still on HonorLock, you could get your phone out, you could take pictures and use Cam Scanner and get a PDF file for all of your work. You can do all of your work that way. You don't have to put it in. But you could also do it this way. If you prefer, you could just say, okay, on this problem, I'll just do my work this way. So if I'm doing this problem, I have to do g of 0. Now you have to type it in, and it's a little tedious, but again, you can do this just on paper if you prefer. So I'm going to do 7 minus 0 to the second, and I'll go ahead and get that worked out. Okay, and that will be 7 minus 0, so that's equal to 7. Then I'm going to do f of 7. So I go back to the function. F of x is 7, x plus 7. So I do 7 times 7 plus 7. You can work that out with your calculator or by hand. So that is actually 49 plus 7. So that's equal to 56. Then you put in 56. So if you want to show your work that way, you can. And you can do that on some problems. And if you would rather just do paper, you can do that, okay? And you got that? Okay, here's another yes/no problem. Well, which ones are one-to-one function? That's one-to-one. It passes the horizontal line test. That one does not. This is one-to-one. This one is not. This one is. And that one is. You don't have to add any work on that, okay? I mean, you could just say they pass the horizontal line test, but you don't have to on that. Okay, so I did want to go through and do just a couple other things on here, like here's another problem where you're doing an average rate of change. This is pretty easy to type in. So if I wanted to add work, this one says you were finding the average speed for the first 3 hours. So you're just actually doing the slope between the point 013 and 3150. So I could just do like average rate of change equals, and if you want to, you can experiment with this button. You can do a math button on here, and what it'll do is you'd have to put this in like this. You'd have to do the change in y, so you'd have to do 150 minus 13, close the parentheses, then put the slash. Then you'd have to do the change in x, the 3 minus 0. And then if you press enter, it just changes it to that. So now you could put in 150 minus 10 is 140, so this would be 137 divided by 3. Now you could take your calculator and then you could work that out if you wanted to. So you should be able to even pull up this thing right here and just do this. What in the world is coming up? Okay, some dating site? Crap. Okay. All right, 137 divided by 3 is going to give you that. So then you can put that in. Or if it turns out to be a decimal, follow the directions of this then. Okay? You could either round it, just do what the test tells you to do. Okay? So on this one, it says round to 2 decimal places. So if you go back to the calculator, soulmate search, what do I already have a soulmate. So 45.6 times 7. 45 times 6.7. 45.67. Okay, all right. So we end up getting that. So if you want to do the work this way, you can do that. And you can do the whole test. If you have to show your work on something, you can do it that way. Okay. Then that way, if you happen to make a mistake, like an arithmetic mistake or something, then you could do that. Okay, now I'm not going to do the other problems. The only other thing I wanted to go through on this, and I think you all should do this, is this. There's a question on here that will be on the test where you have to graph a rational function. So this is question 4. And by the way, every student will do a different problem. They're algorithmically generated, and you'll do the same types of problems. Also, the order of the problems is scrambled. So I do want to go through and do this. So you're going to do this, and you'll see a problem just like this. This is a good type of test problem because it's sort of requiring you to show some of your work. So I'm going to put this in a factored form. So I'm going to factor out the 8 out of the top. I will factor the bottom, which would be x minus 3 times x plus 1. You may not be able to do that in your head. You may need to do that on scratch paper. Okay, the one that cancels out is the whole. The one that's left over, 8 over x plus 1, gives you the vertical asymptote. So the vertical asymptote is what makes x plus 1 equals 0. So that's x equals -1. Okay, the coordinates of the whole. Well, the whole is at 3. So we have to put this like 3. And then if you cancel that out, you would have 8 over 3 plus 1. That would be 8 over 4. So that would be 2. That's where the whole is. Okay. And let's see. Horizontal asymptote. The degree of the top is 1. Degree of bottom is 2. Since the degree of top is less, that means that the horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. Okay, correspond x-intercepts. Okay, there are no x-intercepts on this problem because if you cancel the x minus 3 out and solve the equation 8 over x plus 1 equals 0, you will get no answer. So there's none there. The domain would be all numbers except 3 and -3. This will allow you to do this in 2 different ways, I think. So I'm just going to do an interval. And I'm going to do this like this. I'm going to say -infinity to -1 union, and then it's going to be all the numbers between -1 and 3. Then put your union, and then, whoops, not like that. Added an extra parenthesis, and then it's going to be 3 to infinity like this. Okay, so we got that. The range, actually, since there is a horizontal asymptote, it's never going to be equal to 0. So the range on this would be all real numbers. So we just go like this. We can put an interval in here, -infinity to infinity. And that will give you that then. Okay, one of the reasons I want to do this problem is I wanted to show you how the graph works. And you've done this on homework also. So the best way to start this is just go ahead and get your vertical asymptote. You have a vertical asymptote at x equals -1. Okay, so you've got that. Now, you also have a horizontal asymptote that's coming up at 0 already. If you had a different horizontal asymptote, you'd have to get that up. So what happens on here is you do have this hole at 3, 2. Okay, but you also on this problem have a y-intercept of, let's see, the y-intercept on this, all you do on a y-intercept is replace x with 0. If you do that, you would have negative 24 over negative 3, which would be at positive 8. Okay, so the y-intercept's all the way up here at positive 8. Now you got this hole at 3, 2, so you have to put the hole at 3, 2. Okay, now you got a graph that's the way it is. You might want to practice this kind of thing a few times then. Okay, so I like this thing here so you can do the graph. Now you're allowed to use a graphing calculator, so a person could go back to this, put this problem in your graphing calculator, and use that to help you get your graph. Ideally, you want to be able to do that without a graphing calculator, but I am allowing you to do that on this test. Okay, this problem you don't really need to add work on there. If you do, you could do that also, okay? If you're having trouble with this graph, what you could do is you could draw the graph on your scratch paper and then at the end of the test, turn that in. So if you have trouble with this graph, that's what I'd recommend, okay? All right, so those are all the problems I'm going to do. I wanted to just give you a sampling of how this works out and how you can show your work. Okay, keep in mind this is going to be showing the time. You will have a full 3 hours to this exam, which is more time than you're going to need, but I do want to allow for some time for you to get your work scanned in, to check over your work, and do that. So what will happen before you before you're turning your test, go ahead before you stop your test and get your phone out and do the scanning if that's how you choose to do that. That way it's the proctoring service is going to see that you have a phone up. It's going to flag that, but I'm going to know that that's okay. I'm going to know that you're scanning your test. Do not leave the room and use a different scanner. If you're going to use a scanner, you got to use a phone scanner, okay? Cam scanner is the one I like using. It's the one that works the best for me. So I've done that. I've got my scan. I'm going to submit, and I'm going to end the test, okay? Well, I made a 52.5. Now notice on this, it only gives me the score. It doesn't tell me which problems I missed. It will not tell you that until the deadline for taking the test has expired. So at least at this point, you know, you got a 52.5 and I might have a chance to get some partial credit. Okay, so that will do that. We're all done with the test. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to exit HonorLock. I'm now done with HonorLock. The test is done. Okay, so I'm going to do that. All right, so it's going to say, thank you for using HonorLock. I'm going to close off the calculator. Don't need that anymore. Now, what you need to do now is you're going to need to turn your work in, and you go to the Assignments tab to do that. And this is your demo exam work. So what I want you to do here is just click on this. Your name will pop up. This will look different on I guess I go ahead and do this here. So I'm going to add the file here. If you had anything that you needed to tell me about the exam that you were having trouble with, like for instance, now I do not want you to take a bathroom break, but if something happened and you had an absolute emergency, type in a message on that, okay? I know things happen, but I also know students try to cheat, all right? So if something weird happens, give me an explanation on there, okay? All right, so that's it. Now then you just add your file and put that in and then submit. Make sure that you submit that then. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate short video to kind of show you about what the report looks like. But for now, this should get you started on this. And this will actually be a part of your discussion this week, is doing this before you do the test, okay? All right, so I hope this helps you, and good luck on the test.